Okay, we have public forum. We don't have a sheet down there, correct?
We do.
No, I have an email here that was sent, so I have Olivia Dells will be speaking for Kevin Reese. Is Olivia here?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Olivia.
Hi.
Thank you.
Do you want a microphone?
I'm sorry?
Do you want a microphone?
I think I can talk loud if you guys can.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we might need to use a microphone because we do have 2 board members that are on the phone, so please, if you don't mind.
Good evening.
Ooh, wow, better.
All right. My name is Olivia Delps. I am the school counselor for grades 5 through 8. I am speaking on behalf of the executive board to share some positive news and some of our concerns. Spring is a very exciting time of year. It brings warmer weather, letters of joy, and numerous smiles. I'm speaking specifically to the acceptance letters received by many of our seniors. I would like to take the time to congratulate those seniors and thank the faculty and staff that spent many hours writing the letters of recommendations, helping our students reach their dreams. Addressing some of the executive board's concerns, Dr. Howard informed Kevin Reese, our union president, that he plans on discussing the opening of contract negotiations with the Faculty Association tonight. I hope that you give it some priority since the negotiation team notified Dr. Howard in December that the association was ready to proceed. A fiduciary is a person or organization that acts on behalf of another person or persons, putting their client's interests ahead of their own, with a duty to preserve good faith and trust. Being a fiduciary thus requires being bound both legally and ethically to act in the other's best interests. While looking at the budget for next year, please remember that historically the actual expenditures of the district run about $2 million less than the budget you adopt. That is why the district is able to put millions of dollars in various reserve funds. On the district's budget documents page as of June 2020, the unaudited appropriated funds had over $6 million, and the undesignated fund exceeded $7 million. This year, through no fault of the district, many services that had been provided to underachieving students were cut as a result of moving those interventionists into the regular classroom. This was done to keep the CDC required distances between students. Instead of putting millions of dollars in the bank yearly, we advocate that the district restore these services to our students, specifically math and reading specialists. This year, we know a few teachers are retiring, and we hope that these positions will be filled for this coming September. We know that the budgeted number of sections are based on class sizes. We would like you to consider the number of sections based upon student needs. Smaller class sizes allow teachers to support their students more effectively. It was stated by Mrs. Howard at the last board meeting that the district has saved a large sum of money that was set aside for substitute teachers for the 2020-21 school year. The district was able to save that money because the faculty and staff were pulled from their non-instructional duties to help cover those classes. We would like to thank our members for their continued support of each other and our students. We would also like to end on a positive note and put the spotlight on a collaboration that occurred this winter. Our ELL department, art department, and Dr. Gardner provided an opportunity for the families of our ELL students to create memories and masterpieces. Students and families followed the instructions through Zoom from Shayna Smith, our high school art teacher, to create a holiday landscape using their family's handprints. While art was being created, Alice McLenathan and Martine Van Ness, 2 of our ELL department members, read holiday books to the families. This was a wonderful night. Thank you again for your time and continued support of our faculty and staff.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you should for now.
Okay. All right, next up we have the acceptance of the agenda. I need a motion for the acceptance. Joe, second. Alicia, any questions on the agenda? All in favor? No, that's a consensus, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ron said aye. Dave? Dave, are you there? Dave?
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can. Did you say aye?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I wasn't aware we were able to go over the phone.
Oh, yeah, Neil sent out the email the last, probably the last hour or so.
Oh, I didn't see it, okay.
Sorry.
I only sent it to you, Bob.
That's
Oh, you
okay.
did? Oh, okay. Okay, so, all right, so now I need acceptance of the consensus agenda. I need a motion. Motion? Linda? All right. Second, Joe? And there's a couple of changes on the, if you look at the 5D, we have the coaches. So for the fall, for the boys football modified, we have 2 people, and then they're each going to receive $21.19. And those names were there before, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And then on this next page on age, there was a volunteer that's added to the play shooting team, Dean Atwood, will be added to that list of volunteers. So we have some retirements. We have Sharon O'Connor, a teacher's aide, and we have Ellen Balden, I hope I said that right, clerk typist, and Diana Williams, a bus driver. So we wish them well and whatever they do in the next part of their journey of life. So congratulations to them all. Anybody have any other questions on any of the other things on here?
Question.
Yep.
So, go ahead, Ron. Ron sounds like he has.
No, Ron said no. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said no.
Okay. So we had a board meeting where the public was not able to attend due to technical difficulties. Education law clearly states that these meetings have to occur in open meetings with the public, especially when we're voting on things. Included in the consensus agenda are positions for high-risk sports that were included in those votes. And I also noticed that in the minutes that were supplied for a subsequent meeting, like the 12th, I think it was, like there were no minutes from that meeting that we had that we shouldn't have had. So I think we need to discuss that point again. Maybe we vote on it again, and now that the public is here, I doubt the outcome will change. However, to abide by education law, it should be voted with public attendance.
Those facts are correct. The public did, there was a Zoom. They corrected it almost when we first started that meeting, so the public was able to attend. So your facts are incorrect.
My impression is when we had the meeting, they were not able to get on.
They were. The Zoom link was up.
And Ashley has it documented.
Yes.
Yeah. Time.
Okay.
So is there any questions on the actual consensus agenda that's here before us tonight? You have any questions on that?
I do not.
Okay, all in favor? Dave, Ron?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All right, so next up we have presentations. We have the honorary dedication of the Performing Arts Center.
So I just want to introduce this. This is from the student council. And, we have our advisor, Mrs. Tricky here, and we have one of the senior class, senior class, and president, Claire Howard.
Good evening. So Claire and I are here to talk about a beloved colleague, friend, Mr. Lyle Ham. For those of you who don't know Lyle, hopefully this will help. So we'd like to watch this first and then tell you what we're here about.
So to say that Lyle influenced hundreds, if not thousands, of young people in his lifetime would be an understatement. Lyle spent the majority of his life teaching others. He spent nearly 4 decades as a music and band teacher at Taconic Hills. Outside school hours, Mr. Ham spent his time coaching various sports, including girls field hockey, boys swimming, and girls track and field. After he retired, he spent nearly every day of the week as a substitute teacher in Taconic Hills, the same school he grew up in, graduated from, and where he spent his entire career. Mr. Ham spent 35 summers as a lifeguard at Lake Taconic State Park, training many other lifeguards over the years, including me. He taught CPR and first aid certifications for Red Cross, and many of these classes were held here at Taconic Hills. We, the class officers of the class of 2021, respectfully request that the Taconic Hills Performing Arts Center be renamed in memory of Lyle G. Ham. So the process we went through is we discussed in our private meeting, and we decided that we would like a plaque and a ceremony for Mr. Ham, and then we sent out a survey to the senior class, and I believe we got 47 responses, and the majority of them said that they wanted to rename the PAC. So that's what we decided on.
That's all about the fundraiser we did?
So we teamed up with Student Council for like a Valentine's Day fundraiser where we made chocolate lollipops and marshmallows with chocolate, and we also sold carnations, and we made those after school in Mr. Palmer's room, and it was a lot of fun. So,
And a huge success.
yes, it was a huge success. We raised just under $1,000.
Wow, that's great.
So they're looking for their head nod, to be able to move forward, get a plaque, and at some time in the near future, plan a ceremony inviting the family to come reopen Performing Arts Center next year.
I think it's wonderful.
Yes, that's a great idea.
That's great. I'm getting choked up, so I can't say anything. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next up is the budget workshop number 2.
So as you may be aware, there's still a lot of information to come together in the next several weeks. The New York State budget is not due until April 1st, if they are on time. I still do not have information regarding any changes to the state aid proposal or any kind of proposal from the New York State Legislature about state aid. So go up to the Yes, we'll talk a little bit more about the federal money. But tonight I wanted to give you an update on where we are regarding payroll and benefits. And for Dave and Ron, these documents are up on the website, so I had emailed you earlier. Hopefully you got a chance to look at them. I still do not have final information from Benetech regarding final rates for health insurance for next year. At this time, they are projecting our rates will not go up for health insurance, but the current projection for increases to prescription coverage is 5.6%. We do not have any kind of rate on dental insurance yet, so I'm leaving that the same for now. We do have an increase in the number of people that are participating in the health insurance buyout for next year, so that there is a little bit of an increase in that number. Administrators receive disability insurance from the district. That number is unchanged this year to next. It is a fixed number set by the contract. I am budgeting a nominal amount for unemployment insurance. You've heard me discuss that due to COVID-19 and the limited amount of time that substitutes were able to work and part-time employees were able to work last mid-March through June and even into the summer in some cases, we are experiencing an increased expense there this year. So it's about $86,000 at this time. However, at this point, we do not anticipate laying off any staff members, and we do have a reserve that could assist us with paying increased costs next year if necessary. Workers' compensation projections are down. This is related to a number of factors, not just workplace safety, but also level of experience. We participate in a consortium with a number of school districts in Columbia and Greene counties. So we are self-funded, which means that any expenses that come from workers' compensation claims or settlements are paid directly by the school district. The expense for New York State Teachers Retirement System is up next year to 9.8%. So this is the projection right now based on current staffing levels, but those decisions have not been finalized, so this number is subject to change. The New York State Employees Retirement System is increasing from, I think, 14.6% to 16.2%. This is a number that is given to us every year by ERS. It is not anything that I calculate. And then, of course, the Social Security cost is directly related to the amount of salaries we project to pay. So you'll see that salaries are down right now, but again, staffing discussions are not complete. All of these decisions have not been made. We had a meeting as recently as yesterday, and I was not able to incorporate some of those discussions into this information today. So I'll continue to do that over the next week or so. We do anticipate and hope that next year we can return to normal and we will begin to pay stipends like we have in the past. There are extracurricular groups, all of our sports at full capacity. The pool is closed, has been closed, and will likely continue to be closed at this point, except for the swim team. So our expenses there this year have been very limited. And I think last year we had about $40,000 left in aquatic and fitness center pay in that area. And then this line item relates to sick bonuses, longevity payments, sub costs, and other extra pay items. It is up a little bit at this time. And we do break up health insurance between active and retired staff. So these costs at the top represent health, dental, and prescription coverage for active employees, whereas down here in the yellow section, this represents the cost for retired employees. And we do cover just a few more retired individuals than we do active employees, and that has been the trend over the last few years. Individuals who retired prior to 1994 receive a reimbursement for their Medicare Part B premiums in retirement. That cost has been about level, but that's a very generally small population of retirees. So as you know, about 75% of a school budget is people and benefits, right? So that's a large portion of what we spend our money on every year. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
One question.
Sure.
So, Neil, do we have a projection of through attrition of reduced staff for next year?
We have a tentative one up on the website, yes, of projected enrollment, because as we all know, staffing, enrollment drives staffing.
So if we're projecting a certain reduction in staff, is that reduction built into this budget projection?
Well, we're trying not to, no, not yet. And the reason is that we're still assessing a lot of the needs of the students.
Is it fair to assume that it will be built in by the time we come up with a final budget?
It's tough to say. I hope that we'll have about 3/4 of that, okay. But it's very difficult to assess remote students. We have about 25% on remote, and their class failure is pretty good, pretty high compared to the kids that are in person. And we are planning right now to have a robust summer school program and try to reach out to some of the more kids that have kind of dropped off the radar. So those kids I'm extremely worried about. There are some of them that are doing very well, but there's a large majority of them that are not doing well. So the gap, I feel, is getting a little bit bigger.
I mean, I have no issue with your ability to properly staff and educate these kids. You have 100% confidence there. My only question is, will these assumptions be built in? And I'm hoping the answer is yes.
So some of the assumptions are built in. If you go ahead and look at the website under the enrollment projection, you'll see that right now we're down 4 elementary teachers, but we're keeping class sizes small, and we're looking at all the factors that these kids have, the barriers they have to education.
So we will approve a budget in about 1 month, and we will meet again on April 3rd. It is absolutely my intention to wrap up as much of this information as I can in the next 2 weeks. And Ms. Delps discussed the levels of intervention for students and how that those folks have pitched in so that we can reduce class sizes this year. It's absolutely the district's intention to return those folks to their positions as interventionists so they can focus in that area. That assumption has been built in to the budget, but there are a number of retirements that we're planning on and a few resignations. So, that's really the area that we're working on right now, is determining, how, if and how to backfill those positions.
Thank you.
Is there a consideration of having a substantial summer school program?
Yes.
We'll likely use grant funding for most of that. I think the last time we had a traditional summer school program was maybe three years ago, perhaps.
We're discussing how to do that. We've got some flooring that we're going to have to work around, but I guess at this point, at least I feel it's absolutely necessary to have a credit recovery program as well as what we've termed summer bridges program in the past. So, and then we're going to have to evaluate.
Residential.
Pardon me?
In class.
On campus, yes.
Yeah.
No, the thinking is that many of these students have not been here since last March, and so perhaps returning on a small scale to a summer program, with very small groups of kids, that will make it easier for them to transition back to the classroom full time in the fall, which is our goal, to have everybody back full time in the fall. So here's where we are in terms of our projected budget at this time. Budget increase, we're looking at about $276,000. But again, we are not finished, but I'm not unhappy with where we are right now. And to bring it back to revenue, and what we've been talking about since the last workshop, I'm very concerned about the possibility of permanent reductions to the STAR credit. And that is not state aid, and the current governor's projections list it as a state aid. So you can see here that I've made the assumption that we may levy a tax at approximately 1.59% increase, which is not a true increase because we know that taxes are largely based on equalization and assessment rates every year, which are not set by the school district, those are set by New York State. So
Do we have them yet?
we do not have those yet. We won't even have those until after the budget is approved.
Are you kidding?
No. And so we could levy a tax, for example, at 1.59%, but someone's taxes in Hillsdale could go up by 2.5%.
Right.
While someone's taxes in the town of Clobrick could go down a little bit, and we've seen that happen. So it is not just a function of the levy that the school district sets. So this state aid number reflects the executive proposal at this time. The federal stimulus money is here. We're calling it CARES 2 because we've already received the first round of the stimulus, and this is the money that was approved in December. Other additional revenues that we have gone over, and then we would use appropriated fund balance to pay for the new buses and a portion of the new debt that is coming on for the last capital project, which we said, told taxpayers we would use can see, we still have about $537,000 to play with. So, that's what I'm working within right now, but.
I'm sorry, what does that mean? 537 to play with means?
Right now, our expenditures are under what our projected revenue could be in the event that we set a tax levy at a 1.59 increase. 1.59.
And how much the increase represents, what dollar amount?
I'll show that slide in a second. I did put that in here. I think it's about $400,000. So we have discussed the creation of another capital reserve fund, which we use for about 45% of the cost of the last capital project. So I did have language drafted for that proposition, and we discussed putting approximately $5 million from unappropriated fund balance into that reserve to fund a future capital project, likely in the next perhaps 5 years. And I'm looking to know if the board is still in agreement on moving forward with that proposition.
Yeah.
Do you have a capital development project in mind, like a softball field?
Well, not right now, a softball field, but we will be engaging with our school district architect in 2022 in order to come up with a new 5-year capital plan. And most of the items in a capital project come out of that process. We have developed a number of energy efficiency items that could be built into a capital project, but we also try to focus on items that are building eatable, so we get 46 cents back on every dollar that we spend over the life of the project, and eatability is approximately 15 years. So it is a work in process, because this allows us to put the money to the side, and then hopefully use the same process of using the reserve to fund it so that we can reduce the amount of debt that we take on in the future. This is just another look at the revenues. I did share this with you on March 3rd, but this is really the impact of the executive proposal showing the STAR payment on the New York State budget proposal. So what it's called, this reduction, is called a local district funding adjustment. So the governor is proposing to not pay our STAR payment, okay? So we will in fact collect less of a tax levy, and then he's plugging a hole with the federal dollars. We're not getting any more state aid. He's taking money away that's not state aid, taking money away, and then replacing it with federal dollars for 1 year only, for only 1 year.
And you said this, this STAR reimbursement is gonna continue, it's not, he's just not doing it because they're giving us federal money.
Right, in fact, it really presented itself kind of nicely, I think, because he has been discussing eliminating STAR payments for years. And I think it just presented itself, the moment presented itself this year for it to be done because this additional federal money was coming. So these were the...
But the STAR payment is about $900K, the federal payment is about $1.5 million. So we're looking at a net of 600 or 575 or thereabouts and more.
Yes.
At least for the 1 year.
1 time.
Okay.
Yes. So this is just another look at the tax levy options. You don't have to decide anything now. We don't have to make this decision until April 20th. But this was the answer to your question, Greg. You asked what that represented in dollars, right? $400,000. And those are the 3 levels that are represented by the tax cap calculation. And I just wanted to go over a couple of things. written down as we were preparing for tonight. So as I mentioned, staffing decisions are not complete. Calculations for out-of-district placements and all of our quotes for BOCES services are not in yet. I'll have those ready in the next 2 weeks. We do have contract negotiations, not only with the Faculty Association, but ongoing with the support staff and the Administrators Association. And finally, this week we learned about the American Rescue Plan. We do not expect to receive those additional federal funds until the year 2022, 2023. And again, that's going to be a one-shot deal. However, from what we are reviewing, it appears like for one of the first times that I can remember, our poverty level at Taconic Hills is being considered with regard to our award of these federal funds rather than the land wealth of our school district. So that's really great news because we'll be able to provide some robust services and be sure that kids are getting what they need. 20% of those funds must be dedicated to address learning loss. Again, that doesn't happen until 22, 23, but we're already planning to put money there, whether it's grant funds or general fund dollars, towards a summer program this year. So this is going to require that we approach our tax levy and our budgeting in a very balanced way over the next several years and consider some one-time purchases where, because we want to be sure that raising our tax levy is maintained on a stable basis. The danger is that a funding cliff is being created with this infusion of federal dollars because it's happening twice and then that's it. So if we systematically reduce our tax levy to compensate for that infusion of federal dollars, it will take us many, many years to recover what we do not tax. And then years from now, and it will take years because of the limitations of the tax cap formula, but then years from now, we could be putting taxpayers in a very difficult position by having to do something like override the cap, which we've heard about in places like Johnstown, where they have used unlimited amounts of reserves and applied that towards their tax levy. The other piece of information that came out this week is that lawmakers in New York State understand that due to COVID-19, school districts did experience surpluses in the 2019-20 school year, and as a result of the federal infusion of funds, surpluses may continue to develop. So there is legislation out there to change the statutory limitation of fund balance from 4% to 8% in New York State. It has a lot of traction. I'll keep you
Should have
posted.
been all along.
Yep, I mean, municipalities do not have that kind of limitation. So that would allow districts to continue to utilize the federal funds because we're hearing that there's an awful lot of money out there. So those are my updates.
There's so many school districts that had to, try to adhere to that 4%, and during COVID, they found themselves in tight spots. There were many, many school districts out there. I mean, I know Troy laid off 200 teachers. Our school district was fortunate enough that we didn't have that problem, and it was based on good fiscal planning,
So Schenectady also lost about 400. They're in the
Right.
process of hiring them back.
So 8% is a good deal.
I will say that looking around at the local school districts right now, Rensselaer is going to be in the paper. I believe they're under some stress, and also New Lebanon is under some stress. So you may be hearing about those in the media.
I think it's fair to say, though, that...
Ron texted me, speak up, he can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now, Ron?
Can you hear him now, Ron?
Yeah, it's just something kind of garbled.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We're sitting at about a 45%, not a 48%, right? Because we have 17.8 million in reserves.
Hang
38.
on, we can't hear you, hang on. You have to start over.
Sure. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you. So we're sitting at about a 45%, not a 80%, with 17.8 million in reserves. I know some of those are restricted reserves, so maybe it's lower for the unrestricted.
Right, the 4 to 8% limit relates only to unallocated fund balance. It does not relate in any way, shape, or form to reserves. Those are not included in the unappropriated fund balance statutory limitation.
Okay. Well, is there any progress? And I know, given the workshop that we had last time, I know the input to you is not what would give you the information you need in terms of understanding the current year budget. Because each department, I asked, are you underspending? They don't know. They don't know. But any projections about what we're underspending this year?
Yeah, I did follow up with Bonnie about that. I'm working on it, Craig. Our software does not give us the reports that I can do that easily. It's something that I have to create. But I do have a little bit of a short staff issue in my office, so I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions, Ron or Dave?
No.
Okay.
I don't have a question because I'm really struggling with hearing what everyone's saying.
Sorry, Dave.
I'm in the pass right now. Yeah.
Okay.
If Dave wants to give me a call.
Dave said Sybil said give her a call.
Tomorrow, I'm assuming.
Yes, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, Dave. She said she'll go over it with you.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay.
It's very normal, as Ron mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Okay, well, any more questions on the budget presentation? Okay. Thanks, Sybil.
Sure.
All right, next up is Neil's report.
Okay, so I'd just like to report a little bit on the employee vaccines. We have 66.1% of our employees with at least one shot, and we have 58.72% with both shots. And that will vary a little bit and go up. It's going up slowly. We're just about at a point of saturation, and we are still offering things for people. But of course, then they need to take advantage of that. There's a certain amount of legwork they have to do on their own.
Neil, may I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So it sounds like you're pretty close to 100% of those that want the shot.
I
Is
do
what I'm
not
interpreting
know.
from what you're saying.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close to correct. Of course, if people don't share with me why they don't want to get a shot, there are some individuals who are medically fragile. It's not recommended by their doctors, and there are others that are just choosing for one reason or another not to get it. But I don't have firm numbers on those.
Okay.
All I can tell you is the people who have. Okay. If you've been following in the news, we've got lots of changes to 3 through 8 testing. We are still looking at a variance in New York State from the federal government. They changed the length of the test, making session 1 mandatory right now. Session 2, which is a short answer, is optional. That's going to be a district decision. It looks like the 4th and 8th grade science tests are not going to have a lab. It looks like we've got some changes to the regents. You've probably seen in the media, we're only going to give 4 of them this year: algebra, ELA, earth science, and living environment. And I believe that the lab portions of those are going to be scratched as well, and they may allow the school to give a different type of assessment in its place. So we've been working on the calendar for next year. Hopefully at the next meeting you're going to see that. We've been attending Department of Health meetings weekly, sometimes twice a week, depending upon what's going on. We're also been attending the Healthcare Trust meetings, putting our input in there. That's all of our health insurance. And that's a very lengthy and complicated process. Right now, we're interviewing new attorneys for the Healthcare Trust. As Sybil mentioned earlier, the American Recovery Plan, we're waiting for more clarification on a lot of different items. It's making me a little nervous right now because I'm hearing the state is going to get more involved. We are still testing our high-risk sports. That's our antigen testing. Right now in the region, there's been 3,600 tests and there's been 5 positives. Okay. It looks like right now that remote is going to be a local decision, except for maybe medically frail students. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to bring everyone back. There is renewed talk today about a study in Massachusetts, and it's being reviewed by the Centers for Disease Control that states that the rate of infection at 6 feet wearing a mask and comparing it with 3 feet and wearing a mask is negligible. So we're hoping that that will allow us to then bring back everyone into the building, except maybe those medically frail individuals.
When you say bring back, you mean in September or the summer or?
In fall.
Okay.
In the fall, September. Okay. Have some very interesting meetings with the Comeback Columbia Committee, which is part of the Economic Development Corporation for Columbia County, and with their executive director, Michael Tucker. And I'm lucky enough to represent the K-12 school districts in the county in that group. And that's all for now. Thank you.
Any questions? Ron, Dave, any questions for Neil?
No. If he could repeat, he was giving some statistics on number of infections of COVID. I wasn't able to hear what that was for. Was that county or?
Dave, that was vaccinations
Vaccinations
of employees.
Okay.
of the employees.
After that, I thought you had.
That was for the sports, 3,600.
Okay,
Okay, so the school districts in the Questar region have given over 3,600 COVID antigen tests, and 5 individuals have tested positive. That's 0.00146%. What it basically says is these folks are not transmitting in their sports programs.
And that group was, what area? That I didn't hear you.
that was total,
Columbia, Greene, and Rensselaer counties.
Okay, thank you.
you good?
I'm good, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have buildings reports, so we have John Gulisane. Hi, John.
Good evening, hopefully you can hear me. I'll just make it brief. I've mentioned the Titan Stone certificates to you before.
Can you use your microphone only so
I
that...
don't have them.
Oh, we don't?
There it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You tell me you can't hear me.
Well, I can hear you, but the 2 board members on the phone probably can't.
Okay, the problem is the speakers come out this direction. I wonder if we could turn one of those around. Anyway, I've mentioned the Titan Strong Certificate program that we have going. I want to report to you that as of tomorrow morning, we will have awarded these to 179 students in the elementary school since we started in late December. Teachers are doing these regularly and finding wonderful things to compliment students on. They're excited about it. They get their picture taken. We make a big deal out of it. So this has really caught fire. I know this effort is also going to expand into the intermediate school, and they're about to launch as well. You've heard Neil talk about testing. We are all waiting to see what the state will finally decide on. We just feel collectively that it's a terrible year to try to assess students. There's been such a difference in the preparation of students, class to class, remote versus in person. I just don't know how we can possibly think that this data is going to really mean much of anything. If we have to, we'll go through the exercise and make it as painless as possible for the students involved. The only other thing that I would add is that We seem to have turned a corner. I'm optimistic. This week, we lost kindergarten classes due to a concern of exposure, but it feels like the instance of exposure where we have to put kids out and faculty out on quarantine seems to be getting better, meaning less of that. And maybe I just jinxed this, but that's what I have to report to you tonight.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Then
Hold
we
the button.
have Mary D'Amico here.
She is
I
not.
gave her a pass.
Okay. On to Jean. Hi, Jean.
Hello, everybody. I just want to take my minute or two to mention another group of unsung heroes that I really haven't mentioned as much as I should at these meetings. The real unsung heroes of these last 12 months are our students. 12 months at my age is a drop in the bucket. It's a pretty big drop in the bucket, but it's a drop in the bucket. 12 years for grade school, intermediate school, and elementary school years is a lifetime for them. And some of our students are rightfully struggling, especially those that are learning remotely, but most of our students are persevering, they're adapting, and they're really learning over this last year. They're taking a tough situation and they're turning it into something positive. The behaviors in our school have improved drastically. If you go into the classrooms, you see students engaged in their learning in different ways that we couldn't have imagined in years past. It is a productive year for us and for the students compared to what other districts and other schools and some students are probably not getting at this time. So I think it's a testament to our students, and despite these tough times, they're learning one of the most important skills that you can learn in a school, and that's how to adapt to tough times and problems. And I think it's a real good example of how well our students have done. I think our senior class, Claire and the other officers, have done a fantastic job, and I'm so glad that they brought this to you tonight to ask to have the PAC named after Lyle Ham. This was something they did on their own. This was their own idea. They used the class advisors to help them out with this. They talked and surveyed their entire class to try and get consensus on this and find the right thing to do. I can't think of a better way for a class to leave their legacy by giving back to somebody who made a difference in students' lives. So when we think of the class of 2021, it's not just going to be COVID stuff. We're going to remember they're the class that dedicated their money that they raised to name a place to somebody special who meant so much to so many students, not just them, but for students over the last 40 years or so. So I just wanted to mention the students and keep thanking them in everything that we do. Thanks.
I got any questions?
You got a tissue?
Thanks, Jim. Maybe tear up again. I'm good, thank you. Oh, you need a tissue?
No, I'm tearing up too.
All right, let's see. Next up is instruction and staff development, Sandra Gardner.
So I'd like to start tonight by acknowledging two board members that have really helped us out in the last month. Terry was a judge for a district FFA competition that ended up being much longer of a commitment than we anticipated, and she stuck through the whole day with us. We really appreciate you doing that, Terry, and I hear that you're going on to sub-states with our students.
I guess I volunteered for that.
Thank you.
Can I just say,
So-
it was an absolute pleasure. It was a long day, but the students that we interviewed, that I interviewed for employment skills, they were just outstanding. Their positive attitude and their enthusiasm and their skills. They were just such an impressive group. They gave me hope for the future. And I think, I just can't say enough good things about and you and their mentors.
Well, it really was a great experience, and they learned a lot about patience, and had to do a lot of weighting. A couple of them were at that competition. I'm proud to really announce that we had 5 students that competed virtually in some way. Some of it was pre-recorded, and that was a hassle in itself, and then some of it was live. But all 5 students are now honored to go on and compete at the sub-stage. So I'll let you know how they do, but these were students that ranged in age from 7th grade all the way to sophomores. So it was nice seeing the age span and the active engagement, and there was a lot of work to prepare for that. And they're still working and perfecting, which I think is another skill, to know that, yeah, you made it this far, but now we're going to even up our game and perfect it more. So congratulations to them, and thank you, Terry. And Linda, I'd like to thank you and acknowledge you for your contribution to our Science Research Fund. We are only about $1,000 away from the endowment, so we're thrilled. So thank you, as well as your donations of science books to our library. Thank you. And finally, we are moving ahead well. Erin is doing a terrific job working on our title rearrangement, if that's what it turns out to be. She has several Zooms scheduled in the next few days with teachers, community members, parents, and students, and she's been hand in hand with our administrative team with that survey, and we have some really useful data and some positive data that we will be able to share with you at some point.
Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
Business office, Sybil, do you have more to say? Okay, next up we have Stella Ritter. Hi, Stella.
Good evening. My office has a second person retiring, Ellen Valden. She's been an indispensable member of our office with her Medicaid billing and her expertise. I wish her much, much luck in her retirement. And I'm welcoming Shaquasia Austin to our office. She will be joining the office, which serves 219 special education students in the district. My special education students have been testing already. They were not excused from federal guidance for the alternate assessment. They started that last week. So we'll see what that holds for them.
Thanks, Stella. Okay, Nick, you're up next. Hi, Nick.
Good evening. Our staff has been continuing to work hard doing their cleaning and disinfection. The outside staff are getting ready for fall sports before spring sports, which is odd, but that's what's going on. We're lighting some football fields and field hockey fields, and at the same time they're going to start working on the baseball fields. So there's a lot going on and everybody's working hard.
Thanks, Nick. Next up, Rick.
Good evening. I don't have a report to give you, but I would like to mention a few words about our retiring driver, Diana Williams. Diana has driven for us for over 25 years, and it's not the way that it used to be. It's getting harder and harder, I think, to be a bus driver with regulations and changes in kids' attitudes, that kind of thing. Diana, for the last 10 years, has done some very challenging bus runs for us. I just want to thank her for hanging in there, for her dedication to the kids. I wish her well, but I sure hope she'll come back and help us substitute. So thank you to her.
Thanks, Rick. Mr. Dodds, you're up next.
Well, nobody's retiring and we're working hard, so that's all I got. Any questions? I'll be glad to answer them.
Thanks, John. Oh, yeah, short and sweet. That's John's just sort of short.
Okay, tonight's dinner was government commodity chicken that the cooks season and bake for the students. The corn was government commodity, so that's a good savings for us. The potatoes we purchased. The biggest expense we're facing lately is the containers. Like the container your meal came in today cost us 20 cents a piece. So since everything has to be, since we're not serving on the serving lines and everything's individually for students, that's one of our big expenses lately is our products, like our gloves that we have to wear, the vinyl gloves. They went from a penny a piece to 10 cents a piece. Which doesn't sound like much, but when all these little items add up, it's something that we're trying to watch and be careful with.
And does it take more staff as well to do that, Pam, other than, than the kids coming through line?
No,
It doesn't.
they have it down pat pretty well. We can't wait to get back to the serving line, so we can offer more food, better choices, we can have our salad bar, so a lot healthier options then. Okay?
I understand that. You guys, Dave and Ron, you missed chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn, and some strawberries for dessert. Just saying.
Hey, listen, don't they have benefits?
I'll drop it off, Ron.
Okay. Now we're on to old business. There's none at this time. We have new business. We have the approval of the following bid award. So it's a general construction contract number 111. Board members got that in their packet. So I need a motion. Do I have a motion? Joe, second. Alicia. And questions? Everyone's good? All right, all in favor? Thank you. Next up is the approval of the following donations. We have from Coca-Cola Give and the Extraterrestrial from Linda, the book that Sandra talked about earlier. So I need a motion for those two donations. Alicia, second. Heidi. Thank you, Linda. And what does the Coca-Cola Give?
So this was a donation that we received in our office, and our treasurer did some investigative work on it, and apparently it's similar to the Hannaford and the Price Chopper Kids After School program, where people purchase Coca-Cola products and then somehow name the school district as the beneficiary of a donation. So that was our plan.
I'm going to look into that, Marcus. Coca-Cola or Teamster House. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we have the resolution to appoint a hearing officer. I'll just read the whole thing. It's short tonight. Whereas the superintendent of schools is preferring disciplinary charges pursuant to Civil Service Law, Section 75, against Ronald Ernst, an employee at the Chicana Hills Central School District, and whereas the Board of Education of the Chicana Hills Central School District desires to exercise its authority to appoint a hearing officer to hear this matter and return a report and recommendation to it concerning the proceeding, it is therefore resolved that Brian Devane is appointed as hearing officer in a certain matter involving disciplinary charges involving Ronald Ernst, an employee of the Chicana Hills Central School District. Hearing Officer Devane is directed to conduct the hearing and return his report and recommendations in accordance with Civil Service Law, Section 75. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Linda, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anybody for public forum for the second one?
No, we only have one sign up.
Okay.
Is there anybody that wants to make a statement?
Tell us what's going on with the band here.
This is where they hold the class.
And additional items to discuss?
Yes, I have something to
Okay.
share.
All right.
I would like to propose a workshop on a mid-year review and textbook adoption. So I was hoping that we could consider March 24th or the 31st to combine the two items together.
On mid-year what?
Mid-year review.
Okay. And then textbooks?
Neil, I'm not available March 24th.
Okay, so Sybil's giving me some information now, I guess I'm gonna have to check with the attorneys because they apparently have already scheduled something on the 24th.
Okay.
So, can we tentatively say the 31st, but Sandra, did you just say the 24th?
She can't be here the 24th either.
Oh, she can't? Okay.
Right, so
then
that's-
let's just say the 31st?
What time?
The 31st for which one?
Both. We're gonna do the mid-year review and the textbook adoption in one workshop.
Okay.
What time will workshop start?
5:30.
5:30. I'm going to be getting my second COVID shot up in, but I'll be here when I get to sit down.
Okay.
Will that be in person or Zoom? Because I won't be here. I'll be away.
I don't think I will.
Well, we're gonna try to do it in person, but if you're away, maybe we can either telephone or Zoom you in.
Okay.
We can try to do that.
Okay, so March 31st.
5:30.
And we were gonna do it here in the pack.
Okay. All right.
Can we assume that all the meetings going forward are going to be here in the past?
I can't.
Yeah, they'll.
Can we assume that going forward that we'll be doing live meetings here?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of school districts are going back to having their meetings in public, so. And I really prefer them, especially if we're going into an executive session myself. I don't feel comfortable doing executive sessions on Zoom, so.
Yeah.
All right, so any other additional items, we're good? All right, we're gonna go into executive session, so we're gonna say goodbye to you all. I need a motion to go into executive. Joe, second. Heidi, all in favor? Thank you. Good night, everyone.